Life does not bend itself to the softness of our dreams. It shapes us with storms, it tests us with fire, and it teaches us through roads we never wanted to walk. But it is in those very roads that we find who we truly are. Life is unapologetically unpredictable. No matter how carefully we plan, no matter how tightly we hold on to our expectations, life finds a way to remind us that it owes us no explanations. You can map out your journey, set your goals, design your future with the neatness of a blueprint, yet life will still surprise you with sudden detours, hidden obstacles, and unplanned arrivals. The sooner we embrace this truth, the freer we become, because unpredictability is not our enemy. It is the teacher that makes us flexible, the sculptor that shapes us into something stronger, the force that proves we can survive even what we never expected. Think about the moments in your life when everything changed in the blink of an eye. Perhaps you woke up one morning thinking the day would be ordinary, but a phone call shattered your routine. Perhaps you thought a friendship or a job would last forever, only to watch it dissolve without warning. Perhaps you believed love would protect you from pain, only to learn that love itself sometimes arrives with heartbreak hidden in its pocket. These sudden turns leave us gasping, reaching for control we do not have. But they also remind us of something greater, that within us is the ability to endure the unknown. It is natural to want predictability. It gives us comfort. It makes us feel safe. We want the assurance that if we plant seeds, the harvest will come exactly on time, that if we work hard, rewards will line up neatly, that if we love deeply, we will be loved the same in return. But life is not a contract we can sign, nor a formula we can solve. Life is more like the ocean, beautiful, vast, and always moving. You can learn to sail its waters, but you cannot command its tides. And yet, those tides, though they crash, though they rise unexpectedly, are the very waves that carry you to new horizons you would never have reached otherwise. When life disrupts your plans, it is not always a curse. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is redirection. Sometimes it is the breaking apart of something too small to hold the greatness that belongs to you. Think of the people who discovered their calling only after their original plans fell apart. The business that failed became the spark for a new dream. The relationship that ended created the space for self-discovery. The door that slammed shut forced them to look for a window, and through that window came light they had never seen before. What felt like destruction was actually construction. What felt like an ending was simply the disguise of a beginning. The unpredictability of life is also the birthplace of resilience. If life gave us everything we wanted in the exact moment we asked for it, we would never learn patience, never cultivate strength, never develop the kind of wisdom that can only grow in waiting, in loss, in the unknown. It is in the delay that character is built. It is in the disappointment that endurance is formed. It is in the unexpected turn that creativity awakens. Resilience does not grow when everything goes according to plan. Resilience is born when nothing goes according to plan, yet you keep moving anyway. Some of the greatest victories are hidden inside the unpredictable moments. The people you never expected to meet become the ones who change your life. The places you never planned to go become the landscapes where you find yourself. The challenges you never asked for become the proving ground where your strength rises to the surface. This is why unpredictability is not an enemy. It is an ally, even if it arrives uninvited. Of course, unpredictability can feel cruel. It can feel like betrayal when we did everything right and life still dealt us pain. But we must remember, life is not about deserving. Goodness does not exempt us from storms, and mistakes do not mean we deserve disaster. Life simply moves, weaving together threads of joy and sorrow, loss and gain, light and darkness. The unpredictability is not a punishment, it is simply the nature of existence. Our task is not to control it, but to respond to it with courage. When you accept that unpredictability is inevitable, you stop fighting against it and start preparing for it. You begin to understand that while you cannot predict the storm, you can strengthen your ship. You can build character, cultivate wisdom, practice gratitude, and ground yourself in faith. These are the anchors that hold you steady when the waters rise without warning. You do not have to know exactly what is coming. You only need to know that you are capable of facing it. This acceptance does not mean we abandon dreams or stop making plans. It means we hold our plans lightly, like sand in our hands, knowing that the wind may shift them, and that's okay. We can still dream, still build, still move forward, but we do so with the flexibility to adjust when life whispers, "Not this way." We do so with the humility to accept that we do not see the whole picture and that sometimes the detours lead us closer to our purpose than the straight road ever could. Think of the seasons. Winter does not ask our permission to arrive. Spring does not wait until we are ready to bloom. Summer does not pause until our hearts catch up to joy. And autumn does not delay until we say we are willing to let go. Seasons change without warning, but in each change there is beauty, there is necessity, there is rhythm. Life is the same. Its unpredictability carries us through seasons we did not ask for, but each one teaches us something we could not learn any other way. So let us not fear the unpredictability of life. Let us not curse the twists and turns. Instead, let us learn to bend without breaking, to adapt without losing ourselves, to trust that the same force that brings the storm also gives us the strength to endure it. The unknown will always walk beside us, but so will resilience, so will courage, so will the unshakable truth that within us is a spirit designed not just to survive the unpredictable, but to rise because of it. Pain is not punishment, it is preparation. Yet so many of us confuse the two. When we are struck by disappointment, when loss wraps its heavy arms around us, when betrayal pierces us, we ask ourselves in trembling voices, "What did I do to deserve this? Why is life punishing me?" But the truth is, life is not out to condemn you. Life is not wielding its hand to crush you. Pain is not evidence of your failure. It is evidence that you are being shaped into someone capable of carrying greater weight, greater wisdom, and greater purpose. When you look back at your life, you will realize that some of your most defining moments came not from joy, but from sorrow. It was not the easy days that taught you endurance. It was the days you thought you could not survive. It was not the victories that taught you humility. It was the losses that brought you to your knees. It was not the celebrations that made you stronger. It was the heartbreaks, the rejections, the disappointments that taught you to rise again. Pain is not punishment. It is a sacred classroom where the lessons are costly, but the wisdom is priceless. Consider the process of refining gold. Raw gold is not beautiful. It is covered in dirt, blemishes, and impurities. To become valuable, it must be placed in fire. The fire does not hate the gold. The fire is necessary for the gold to shine. And so it is with you. The fire of life, the pain you endure, is not sent to destroy you. It is sent to refine you, to reveal the strength that has always lived inside you, but could not be seen without the flames. Every tear that has fallen from your eyes is not wasted. It is watering the soil of resilience. Every ache in your heart is stretching it, making it capable of holding more compassion, more empathy, more love than it could before. We live in a world that teaches us to avoid pain at all costs. We medicate it, we numb it, we distract ourselves from it. But pain has a voice, and it whispers truths that comfort cannot teach. Pain tells us where we are broken so that healing can find us. Pain reveals what truly matters by stripping away what is temporary. Pain awakens the sleeping parts of our soul, parts we would never have discovered had everything gone smoothly. If you try to silence pain, you silence your preparation. If you try to escape pain, you escape the very process that is equipping you for your destiny. Think about the seed planted in the ground. From the outside, it looks as if the seed has been buried, covered in darkness, pressed down by the weight of soil. But the seed is not being punished. The soil is not its grave, it is its birthplace. In the silence and the pressure, the seed begins to crack open, and from that breaking comes new life. So it is with your pain. You may feel buried right now. You may feel pressed down by trials, too heavy to bear, but you are not buried. You are planted. And what feels like breaking is actually the process of growth. Many of us waste years resenting the pain we endured, never realizing it was the very thing that gave us the strength to stand where we stand today. The heartbreak you thought would destroy you taught you what love should and should not be. The failure that embarrassed you revealed the courage it takes to try again. The illness that slowed you down opened your eyes to the preciousness of health and the urgency of living fully. If you look deeply enough, you will see that pain has been a stern but faithful teacher, guiding you toward deeper wisdom. But let me be clear, saying pain is preparation does not mean it is easy, nor does it mean you must enjoy it. Pain hurts, loss hurts, betrayal cuts deep. These truths cannot be sugar-coated, but even as we acknowledge the weight of pain, we must also acknowledge its gift. It is not an enemy, but a messenger. It is the breaking of the old so the new can be born. It is the pulling apart of what no longer serves you so that you may be aligned with what will. It is life's way of making room for the person you are becoming. There are things inside you that comfort could never awaken. Strength sleeps until struggle shakes it awake. Courage stays hidden until adversity calls its name. Hope does not shine as brightly until the night grows dark. If you never felt pain, you would never know the depth of your power. If you never walked through the fire, you would never learn how much light you carry. Pain reveals you to yourself in ways that joy never can. The most compassionate hearts are often the ones that have been broken the most. The wisest voices are often the ones that have walked through valleys of despair. The most inspiring leaders are often those who once felt powerless. Why? Because pain carved out a space in them that comfort could not fill. Pain deepened them, prepared them, and gave them a story that could heal others. Your suffering, too, is not meaningless. It is equipping you to help someone else rise when they feel like falling. It is tempting to believe that if life were fair, pain would not exist. But perhaps fairness is not about avoiding pain. It is about receiving in pain what you need most, even if it is not what you want. The discipline of pain is hard, but the fruit of pain is invaluable. Through it, you learn endurance. Through it, you learn faith. Through it, you learn that even in the dark, there is always a flicker of light. And once you have walked through the darkness, you become the one who carries the light for others still stumbling in it. So do not despise the pain that life has handed you. Do not waste your energy cursing the storms you have endured. Instead, ask yourself, what is this pain preparing me for? What is this struggle shaping me into? For within the ache lies the answer. Within the fire lies your refinement. Within the breaking lies your becoming. Desire and reality rarely shake hands. What we long for and what life delivers often stand on opposite sides of the street, staring at each other without ever crossing. We want ease, but life gives us struggle. We want certainty, but life gives us questions. We want a straight path, but life bends the road until it disappears beyond the horizon. This gap between what we dream and what we receive can feel cruel, but it is also the ground where our strength grows, where our faith is tested, and where our true selves are revealed. From the moment we are children, we are taught to dream. We sketch out futures in bright colors, the places we will go, the things we will achieve, the love we will receive, the happiness we will hold. Our hearts cling to these visions as if life has signed a contract to honor them. But life never signed that contract. Life makes no promises to fulfill every desire. And when reality arrives with hands empty of what we asked for, we are tempted to despair. Yet hidden in this tension is a truth that can liberate us. The mismatch between desire and reality is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that we are still on the journey of becoming. Think of the times when what you wanted most slipped through your fingers. Perhaps it was the job you thought would secure your future, but it was given to someone else. Perhaps it was the relationship you thought would last forever, but it unraveled despite your devotion. Perhaps it was the dream you nurtured for years, only to watch it collapse under the weight of circumstance. In those moments, it feels as though reality has betrayed you, as though life is mocking your desire. But often, in hindsight, you can see that what you lost was making space for something you could not yet imagine. What you thought was the end of your story was merely a chapter that had to close for the next one to begin. Desire is powerful. It fuels us, it drives us, it lifts our eyes beyond the present. But unchecked, desire can become a tyrant, convincing us that we cannot live without its fulfillment. We say, "I must have this," and when we do not, despair floods in. Yet the truth is, we can live without many of the things we once thought essential. In fact, some of the things we most desperately wanted would have harmed us if we had received them. Reality's refusal is sometimes a protection, not a punishment. The distance between desire and reality also invites us to grow. If everything we longed for arrived exactly as we asked, we would never develop endurance, never cultivate patience, never discover resilience. The waiting shapes us, the disappointment humbles us, the gap between what we want and what we have forces us to wrestle with the question, will I still move forward even when life does not give me what I expected? And in answering that question, we uncover a strength we did not know we possessed. Reality is not cruel for being different from desire. Reality is simply honest. It shows us what is, not what we wish it to be. And though this honesty can sting, it is also grounding, for desire can sometimes blind us, leading us into illusions. Reality shakes us awake. It tells us the truth of the moment so we can learn, so we can adapt, so we can grow into people who are not fragile dreamers, but resilient builders. There is beauty in learning to stand between desire and reality without collapsing, to say, yes, I wanted more, but I will make something beautiful with what I have. To say, yes, I wished for an easier road, but I will walk the harder one with dignity. To say, yes, I imagined my life differently, but I will live the life before me with courage. That is where power lies, not in controlling reality, but in shaping ourselves within it. Sometimes reality even exceeds desire, though not in the way we expect. You may have prayed for a smaller dream, but life withheld it because a larger dream was waiting. You may have begged for a door to open, but life kept it locked because the doorway was too small for the greatness inside you. You may have cried for love in one place, but life redirected you to a love that was deeper, truer, and more lasting than you thought possible. The mismatch between desire and reality is not always loss. Sometimes it is an invitation to trust that life's vision for you is larger than your own. Consider the artist who begins with a vision for a painting. The image in their mind is perfect, flawless. But as the brush touches canvas, mistakes happen, colors blend unexpectedly, lines shift, and the image becomes something different from the original plan. At first, frustration rises. The painting does not match the vision. But with patience, with openness, the artist begins to see beauty in the unexpected strokes. The final masterpiece may not look like the first desire, but it holds a depth and a uniqueness the original vision could never have captured. So it is with life. Reality, with all its unpredictability, paints masterpieces with our lives that desire alone could not conceive. When we insist that desire and reality must shake hands, we set ourselves up for endless disappointment. But when we accept that they rarely meet, we learn to live in the tension with grace. We learn to adjust, to pivot, to trust that even when life does not give us what we wanted, it still gives us what we need. And in that need, we find wisdom. In that need, we find strength. In that need, we often find a deeper purpose than desire alone could have given us. So do not despise the distance between what you dreamed and what you received. That distance is not emptiness. It is the place where growth is happening, where resilience is forming, where your spirit is being shaped into something unshakable. Desire may not always shake hands with reality, but in the space between them, you are being prepared to rise, to endure, and to discover that life's greatest gifts are often the ones you never thought to ask for. Courage is choosing to dance with what you did not choose. Life brings us many things we never asked for, heartbreak that knocks the breath out of us, setbacks that stall our dreams, betrayals that cut deeper than we thought possible, responsibilities we never imagined carrying. We do not choose these burdens. We do not sign up for the storms. Yet they come uninvited, settling into our lives like unwelcome guests who refuse to leave. And in those moments, courage is not about pretending the storm is beautiful, but about deciding to move your feet anyway, to sway with the rhythm of what you cannot control, and to find grace even in what you never wanted. So often we imagine courage as grand gestures, heroic battles, mighty speeches that echo through history, but real courage is quieter than that. It is not always loud, but it is always steady. Courage is the mother who wakes up every morning to provide for her children after life has taken the partner she thought would always stand beside her. Courage is the man who rebuilds after losing everything he worked for, not because he feels strong, but because he refuses to let failure have the final word. Courage is the broken heart that learns to love again, even when fear whispers that love will only bring more pain. It is not choosing the hardship. That choice was never yours. It is choosing to keep living fully in the midst of it. To dance with what you did not choose means you stop waiting for life to be perfect before you move. You stop waiting for the pain to vanish, for the storm to pass, for the conditions to be just right. Instead, you find a way to live, to breathe, to create beauty even when circumstances are far from beautiful. You sway when life pushes, you spin when life twists, and you take small steps forward even when the ground feels uncertain beneath your feet. That is courage, not control over what comes, but grace in how you respond. Life does not always hand us the partners, careers, opportunities, or paths we imagined. Sometimes it hands us loss. Sometimes it hands us loneliness. Sometimes it hands us a future we did not envision. The question is not, did you get what you wanted? The question is, what will you do with what you have been given? Will you shrink under the weight of it? Or will you rise and discover strength you did not know you had? Courage is the choice to rise. And courage does not erase fear. Do not believe for a moment that the courageous feel no trembling in their bones. They do. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite it. It is the willingness to move forward, shaking hands with uncertainty, acknowledging its presence, but refusing to let it be the driver of your life. Courage whispers, "Yes, I am afraid. Yes, this is not what I wanted. But I will not stop living because life did not hand me what I asked for. I will dance anyway." Think of the person standing in the rain. They did not choose the storm. The sky opened without warning. The thunder rolled without invitation. They cannot command the clouds to part, but they can decide to lift their face, let the rain wash over them, and find joy in the droplets instead of despair in the storm. That is courage, the ability to find meaning and even beauty in what you cannot change. Life will often test us not by giving us what we want, but by giving us what we never thought we could endure. And yet we endure. We keep breathing, keep walking, keep finding reasons to hope. Every scar on your soul is proof that you have already survived more than you once thought possible. Each scar is not shame, but testimony. You danced with what you did not choose, and you are still here. There is a kind of power that only comes from embracing what is out of your control. When you stop resisting reality and begin to work with it, even when it is painful, you discover resilience. You find creativity. You learn to bend without breaking. A tree that refuses to bend in the wind will snap, but the tree that sways, that allows the storm to move it, will still be standing when the sky's clear. That is what it means to dance with what you did not choose. To bend, to move, to adjust, to stay standing even when the storm is fierce. We often believe courage is about changing the world, but often it is about changing ourselves. It is about shifting how we see the struggle, how we carry the pain, how we walk through the dark. Courage allows us to make peace with the fact that we are not in control of everything and yet still live boldly. It allows us to say, "I did not choose this valley, but I will not waste my time cursing it. I will learn from it. I will grow in it. I will dance through it until I reach the mountain again." And there is a kind of beauty in that dance. A beauty that cannot be faked, cannot be manufactured, cannot be purchased. It is the beauty of resilience, the beauty of a soul that has been tested and yet still shines, the beauty of someone who has faced sorrow but still chooses joy. That beauty is what courage gives you. It is not just about survival, it is about thriving in the midst of what you never wanted. So when life hands you what you did not choose, do not wait for permission to live again. Do not wait for conditions to be perfect. Begin to move, however slowly. Begin to sing, however softly. Begin to dance, however awkwardly. Because the act of moving itself is courage, and courage has the power to transform pain into purpose and darkness into light. Gratitude turns broken pieces into blessings. At first, this truth feels impossible to accept. When life has shattered the picture you painted for yourself, when dreams have slipped through your fingers, when what you cherished lies in fragments at your feet, the last thing you want to do is give thanks. Gratitude feels like a foreign language in the presence of pain. Yet it is in those very moments when all seems lost that gratitude reveals its power. Because gratitude does not wait for wholeness to speak. Gratitude takes the fragments, the shards, the remnants, and whispers, "Even here, even now, there is still something to honor." We often think gratitude belongs only to the mountaintops, the victories, the celebrations, but gratitude is strongest in the valleys. It is not tested when life is easy. It is tested when life is broken. To stand in the wreckage of what you thought your life would be and still find reasons to give thanks, that is a miracle. It does not mean you deny your pain. It does not mean you pretend your heart is not aching. It means you choose to see that even in the ache, There are threads of grace holding you together. Gratitude is not about ignoring what is missing. It is about noticing what remains. You may not have the relationship you hoped for, but you have friends who carry you through the night. You may not have the career you dreamed of, but you have gifts that no loss can take from you. You may not have the health you once knew, but you still have breath, and breath means purpose. Gratitude gathers these fragments and shows you that brokenness does not erase blessing. There is a story in every scar, and gratitude is the voice that tells it with hope instead of despair. Where others see only ruin, gratitude finds hidden treasures. The loss that broke you also introduced you to resilience. The failure that shamed you also awakened your creativity. The heartbreak that shattered you also deepened your compassion. Gratitude looks at these broken pieces not as trash to be discarded, but as pieces of a mosaic, a new kind of beauty you never would have known without the breaking. Think of the potter who creates vessels from clay. Sometimes the vessel cracks in the fire. Instead of discarding it, the potter may choose to fill the cracks with gold, a tradition called kintsugi. The cracks do not disappear. They are highlighted, honored, and transformed into part of the vessel's beauty. What was once broken becomes more valuable because of the golden seams. Gratitude does this for our lives. It fills the fractures with light, with lessons, with grace, until the brokenness itself becomes part of the blessing. Gratitude is not about perfection, it is about perspective. Two people can walk through the same storm, and one sees only devastation while the other sees opportunity. The difference is not the storm, but the lens through which they look. Gratitude sharpens your vision so you can see beyond loss, beyond disappointment, beyond pain, into the small but significant gifts still surrounding you. And once you begin to see them, they multiply. What you focus on grows, and gratitude trains your heart to focus on abundance rather than lack. We sometimes wait for life to be better before we express gratitude. We say, I'll be thankful when I have more money, when I have love, when I have success, when I feel whole. But gratitude is not a destination. It is a decision. It is not postponed until everything aligns. It is practiced in the middle of chaos, in the middle of lack, in the middle of uncertainty. And here lies the mystery. Gratitude has the power to transform your heart even when your circumstances remain unchanged. The broken pieces may still be scattered, but gratitude changes how you carry them. They become lighter, they become bearable, and sometimes they even become beautiful. There is strength in choosing gratitude where bitterness wants to grow. There is courage in saying, I will not curse my life even if it did not go as planned. I will not let anger consume me even if I was wronged. I will not let despair blind me even if I am in the valley. I will still give thanks. This posture does not make you weak, it makes you unshakable. Gratitude becomes your anchor when the winds of life try to sweep you away. Consider those moments when you thought you could not go on, but somehow you did. Gratitude honors that survival. It says, yes, I was broken, but I am still here. Consider the people who came into your life at just the right time to remind you that you were not alone. Gratitude sees their faces and says, that was no accident, that was grace. Consider the lessons you carry now, hard-earned but priceless. Gratitude does not waste the pain. It harvests its wisdom. Even the smallest thanks can shift your world. Whispering gratitude for the sunlight on your skin, the sound of laughter, the breath in your lungs can be enough to spark a flame of hope. And that flame, once lit, can illuminate even the darkest nights. Gratitude does not demand a feast. It is satisfied with crumbs, and in being satisfied, it turns crumbs into nourishment. Gratitude also opens your heart to joy again. Pain has a way of closing us off, convincing us that nothing good can come after loss. But gratitude keeps the heart open, receptive, willing to receive new blessings when they arrive. Gratitude makes room for joy to enter, even if the door is small and the cracks wide. By practicing gratitude, you prepare yourself to see beauty again, to welcome goodness again, to believe in possibility again. Life will always hand us broken pieces. None of us escape unscathed. But gratitude says the story does not end at the breaking. Gratitude gathers the fragments, holds them with reverence, and slowly, gently transforms them into a new pattern, a new creation, a new blessing. The blessing may not look like what we imagined. It may not be what we asked for, but it will be real, it will be meaningful, and it will be enough. Acceptance is not surrender. It is not the act of raising a white flag in defeat. Acceptance is the quiet, steady courage to see life as it is, not as you wish it to be, and to still choose to stand tall within it. There is a deep strength in the moment you unclench your fists, stop wrestling with the why of it all, and begin to live with what is. That moment does not mean you no longer dream, no longer fight, no longer hope. It means you no longer waste your soul resisting the unchangeable. Life does not consult our plans. It does not pause to ask for our permission before handing us loss, illness, heartbreak, or disappointment. We cannot bargain with time to return what has passed. We cannot rewrite history no matter how tightly we grip the pen. And yet, many of us live stuck in that resistance, replaying what we cannot undo, refusing to accept what already is. We call it holding on, but in truth, it is what holds us captive. Acceptance is the key that unlocks that cage. It is the decision to stop demanding that reality bow to our expectations, and instead to begin shaping ourselves to live within reality's walls. This does not make us powerless, it makes us wise. Because when you accept what cannot be changed, you free up the strength to change what can. Think of a river. If you stand in the middle of it, fists clenched, shouting for the water to stop flowing, you will only exhaust yourself. The river does not hear your anger, and it will not halt for your grief. But if you learn to accept that the river flows, you can step into a boat and let its current carry you. You can learn to paddle with it, to navigate it, even to enjoy its ride. Acceptance is the boat. It does not change the river, but it changes what the river does to you. There is a subtle but profound freedom in saying, "This is my life, not the one I planned, not the one I thought I deserved, but the one I have, and I will live it fully." When you do this, bitterness begins to loosen its grip. You stop measuring your days against the ones you thought you'd have, and you start honoring the ones you actually do. Acceptance does not mean you like what happened. It does not mean you approve of it. It means you stop fighting against it in a way that drains your spirit. Some of the deepest wounds in our lives do not come from the event itself, but from our refusal to let go of how we thought it should have gone. The marriage ended, but we stay in agony wishing it had not. The job was lost, but we stay broken wishing it had lasted. The loved one passed away, and though grief is natural, we hold on to anger at life for taking them, as if that anger will somehow bring them back. Acceptance comes like a balm, not to erase the wound, but to allow it to heal. What makes acceptance powerful is that it clears space for transformation. Once you stop fighting reality, you can begin to build something new from it. You can begin to grow. You can begin to adapt. Many of the strongest souls walking this earth are not the ones who had smooth lives, but the ones who had jagged paths and chose to accept them. Instead of saying, "Why me?" they said, "Here I am. Now what will I do with this?" Acceptance is not a single act, it is a practice. Some days you will feel it in full, other days you will wrestle again. That is human. But every time you return to acceptance, you reclaim your peace. Peace is not found in perfect circumstances. It is found in a heart that has learned to stop resisting the imperfect. Imagine carrying a heavy stone in your hands every single day. You clutch it tightly, unwilling to set it down, because to set it down feels like admitting defeat. But one day you realize the stone is not protecting you. It is only tiring you. And so you place it on the ground. That is what acceptance feels like, the moment you stop carrying what was never meant for you. Some of us fear that acceptance means giving up on our dreams, but it does not. It means learning to release the dreams that did not come true so we can make room for the ones that still can. If your story has turned a chapter you never wanted, acceptance does not mean closing the book. It means reading the page with openness and discovering that the plot can still unfold in surprising and beautiful ways. Acceptance also deepens compassion. When you stop waging war against your own life, you become gentler with the lives of others. You no longer demand that they meet your expectations either. You learn to let people be who they are, to let situations be what they are, to let the world spin as it spins. And in that letting, love has more room to breathe. There is wisdom in the faces of those who have lived long lives, who have seen sorrow and joy, who have said goodbye more times than they can count. Often you will hear them say, "It is what it is," not with despair, but with peace. That phrase, simple and plain, holds the power of acceptance. It acknowledges the limits of our control and the vastness of our resilience. Acceptance is a teacher. It teaches us humility, reminding us that we are not the architects of every outcome. It teaches us strength, showing us that we can endure even when life veers off script. And it teaches us freedom, proving that when we release our grip on how things should be, we can finally hold what is. The power of acceptance lies not in changing life, but in changing the heart that lives it. To accept is to breathe again, to hope again, to love again. To accept is to make peace with yesterday so you can walk into tomorrow unburdened. To accept is not weakness. It is wisdom dressed as grace. And when you learn its power, you no longer spend your days fighting against the tide. You learn instead how to float. You are greater than what life hands you. Too often we let the circumstances of our days define the measure of our worth. We take the paycheck and call it proof of our value. We take the heartbreak and call it a sentence of unworthiness. We take the failures and wear them as labels across our foreheads. But hear me clearly. You are not what happens to you. You are not the sum of your losses. You are not the weight of your pain. Life may hand you trials, but it cannot strip away your essence. Life may hand you storms, but storms do not erase the sky. Each of us carries a depth that no tragedy, no betrayal, no disappointment can erase. We are not simply victims of our circumstances. We are creators, rebuilders, survivors, dreamers. Life can hand you emptiness, but within you there is always the seed of fullness waiting to be watered. Life can hand you rejection, but within you there is always the truth that you were worthy before anyone else's opinion came to matter. Life can hand you delay, but delay is not denial, and you are greater than the clock that ticks against your dreams. The danger comes when we mistake what happens to us as what we are. A storm blows through your home and shatters the windows. You stand in the wreckage and think, "I am broken too." But no, your home may have been broken, your plans may have been shattered, but you, my friend, are still standing. You may be bruised, you may be weary, But the fact that you can still rise means you are greater than the ruin around you. There is a power in refusing to let life's harshest blows define your name. There is strength in saying, yes, this happened, yes, it hurt, but it is not the whole of me. Life is a relentless teacher, but you are a relentless student. And a student always carries the ability to grow beyond the lesson. What life hands you may shape you, but it does not have the final say about you. Think of the caterpillar pressed into its cocoon. From the outside, it looks like confinement. From the outside, it looks like the end. But inside that darkness, transformation is taking place. Life may hand you a season that feels like a cocoon, tight, suffocating, endless. But what you carry within you is wings. And wings cannot be held down forever. The cocoon is not your definition, it is your preparation. Some of us have been handed generations of struggle, poverty, injustice, loss. It seems as if the cards have been stacked against us before we even learned to play the game. Yet history is filled with people who were handed nothing but turned it into everything. They were handed chains, but within them lived freedom. They were handed silence, but within them lived a voice. They were handed rejection, but within them lived a vision that no rejection could kill. And so it is with you. Life may not be fair, but you are not powerless. What you do with what you are handed is where your greatness is revealed. Some of the most beautiful gardens have grown in rocky soil, watered not by abundance, but by persistence. The soil did not define the seed defined itself. You are that seed. You carry within you more potential than any circumstance could ever cage. Do not let the world convince you that your worth lies in what you have accumulated. You are not the car you drive, the house you live in, the job you work. Those are what life may hand you, and they can change in an instant. You are the spirit that persists when all those things are stripped away. That spirit is indestructible. That spirit is eternal. When life hands you sorrow, you have the capacity to turn it into empathy. When life hands you failure, you have the capacity to turn it into wisdom. When life hands you loss, you have the capacity to turn it into gratitude for what remains. Every stone life places in your path can become either a stumbling block or a stepping stone. The choice is yours, and the choice reveals your greatness. Do not underestimate the resilience of your own soul. Have you not survived nights you thought would consume you? Have you not endured disappointments that should have left you in ashes? Yet here you are, breathing, standing, still daring to hope. That is proof that you are greater than the sum of your circumstances. Proof that the essence of who you are is not fragile glass, but tempered steel. Greatness is not measured by how easy your path has been. It is measured by how you rise when the path has tried to bury you. The diamond does not form in comfort. It forms under pressure. The pearl does not form without irritation. It is born of struggle. So when life hands you difficulty, remember, within you lies the ability to take it and transform it into something precious. Do not hand your identity over to what life delivers at your doorstep. The eviction notice is not your name. The heartbreak is not your name. The rejection letter is not your name. Your name is written deeper, truer, untouched by the ink of circumstance. You are beloved. You are resilient. You are greater. And when you remember this truth, you begin to walk differently. Life may still hand you burdens, but you carry them without letting them crush you. Life may still hand you detours, but you walk them with a spirit that knows the road is not the destination. You begin to live from the inside out rather than from the outside in. What life hands you is temporary. Who you are is eternal. Circumstances rise and fall, but the strength within you remains. Seasons shift, storms come and go, but the essence of you, the courage, the love, the vision, that is untouchable, that is greater. So when life comes with fistful of trials, meet it with the unshakable truth. I am more than this. I am deeper than this. I am greater than this. Life can hand you its worst, but it cannot diminish your best. Life can hand you ashes, but within you is always the fire. So, my friends, let us no longer sit waiting for life to match our wishes. Let us stop bargaining with the world to hand us ease and comfort. Instead, let us rise with the strength to embrace what is, to learn from what hurts, and to create beauty from what breaks. Life is not how you want, but it is enough. It is enough to teach you, to grow you, and to reveal the unshakable brilliance that has been living inside you all along.